welcome to Baron's Den for the match 2 of the Bonehead Podcast League with the Mordheim Undertakers. Now this one's going to be a little bit different because having had the issues I had with connectivity, I decided I was going to use the replay this time instead of doing it live. So the pros and cons of that are, obviously, when I'm playing live, it's my live reactions, and you get that more authentic commentary style. However, obviously by doing the replay, it means I'll be able to analyse things a little bit more, and overall the replay should be quicker. So you'll have to let me know in the comments if you prefer to see the games live or you're happy with the replay. Overall they should be quicker and will allow me to dive a little bit deeper into what's going on, or skip over the more mundane parts of the match. So yeah, so I'm playing Lizardmen, the Legion of LOA, and the coach Reign. I've played, I don't know if we actually have played a match before this one, but he's also in the FUMBBL League for the Bonehead Podcast as well. Oops. So yeah, we acquainted ourselves twice in the I'm going to have to apologise for my coughing. We've come up against each other twice in a week. So we played this match, and then we played in the FUMBBL League as well. So, right. A lot has just happened there. My first time running this through a replay. So, I did my usual setup over here, and he went full Saurus with the skinks back out of range, and yeah, playing Lizardmen with no skills. I actually think Lizardmen starting-ish roster is quite tricky. With the Saurus, you've got no block, so you know you can tag them, and to get away, they've either got to blitz or block and hope they injure, and they're always susceptible to those both downs. With their agility 5, it means you can really glue them in place and really go after the skinks. And even the skinks, they've got dodge, but they're only 3+ dodging, so sooner or later they're going to fail. You're going to roll that 1 or 2 on consecutive dice, and it's going to cause problems. However, I'm running Necromantic Horror, which are another team that aren't the best straight out the gate. We've got little in the way of combat skills. We've got the Wraiths, and we've got Ghouls with dodge, but a lot of our players are movement 4, with ridiculously poor agility as well. Although, ironically, I say ridiculously poor, better than the Saurus at Edge 4+, meaning really we've only got a couple of proper ball-carrying type players, and that's the Ghouls and the Werewolves. The Wraiths can't even pick up the ball. The others are too slow and not agile enough. And for this game, following the first game against Borek, I'm missing a Flesh Golem and a Wraith. So I'm missing my Strength 4 player who can match up to the Saurus, and then my Block player who's ideal at taking down skinks. So I'm going to have to be protective of my one Wraith who's going to be decent at taking down the skinks. But I did manage to level up the Ghoul to give him block, so I've got a Blodge player. Other than that, I'm going to be running some journeyman zombies, and the Lizardmen team have got a journeyman skink spot. I think they're a Saurus down, aren't they, too? Yeah. So there are a Saurus missing for the match. So let's carry on. So the Saurus move into place and start tagging up my guys, and this is what I was talking about. Without any combat skills, they're not necessarily the best at blocking straight away. So he's managed to push one down, and the other zombie takes the hits, and we go straight into an armor break. So Saurus moving into position to act as a screen. We had a Bonehead for the Croxigor, and then the Saurus moves up on the zombie, surrounding the Wraith. The zombie goes down. The skink plugs a gap, the loner skink, and the chameleon skink manages to pick up the ball and then moves it out onto the wing. And then we're going to cage up here. And not a bad start for them. Putting a skink there is always tempting, and I can't actually remember what I did. Sorry, I'm trying to mute every time I cough. Right, so I decide that I want to flood these Saurus with enough players to give me an assist, and I roll 2 pushes. But then I'm going to come in and blitz, which will give me a 2 die on that Saurus, and this one goes down. I decide not to follow up, just to see where the player falls, to see if he gets injured. He doesn't, so I tuck him back in place. Another cough. There's not really a lot else I can do. My flesh column was stunned in the first, in the kickoff event. So yeah, really it was just about positioning and waiting for my players to get back up. Crocscore takes down one guy. Saurus Blitz takes down another zombie. Sammy Scarecrow takes a hit. Down he goes. Foul coming in. Successful foul that removes the player, but also gets spotted by the ref and sent off. Apologies again for the cough. Okay, so even with that sending off, they are a skink down permanently, which, you know, they are important in this game for the Lizardmen, obviously. They don't want to be losing too many, and it wasn't one of the loner ones either, but they did manage to get a zombie removal. Overall, I think I got the better of that situation. You're happy to replace a skink for a zombie. Right, I had the opportunity to get a blitz in with the Wraith, and also get the sidestepping, fouling nightmare onto the ball. So I was eager to do that. This was potentially risky, putting the Ghoul, the weakest player, in the firing line of other players, but it just meant I could put some assists in. And he's block and dodge, so it shouldn't be easy for him to hit. I managed to try a hopeful one die, got a pat, and pulled some players back here to allow me to try and use claws on the Saurus. The first one failed, and I did burn one of my 2 rerolls to try and give me the opportunity to cause some damage, which I did. I managed to get a stun. And so then the Lizardmen take over. They are darting round, but that Crocscore Bonehead was not good timing, really. And that zombie didn't get knocked down, so actually we're doing well for knockdowns so far. The Chameleon Skink tries to dodge away and actually is reliant on its dodge skill. But then the others managed to, what's the word I'm looking for? Disengage. No problems. A couple more Saurus blocks. I'll have to hold my breath while the werewolf takes a hit, but he's alright. Okay, so I've got, I think, roughly player advantage in terms of, oh no, we're even, but with the stun, I've slightly got player advantage. And obviously the Bonehead on the Crocscore means I don't have to worry about him for a turn. I spot an opportunity to go for the ball. It does require rush, which I use, because it gives me a 2 die on the ball carrier, and obviously I'm able to sack the ball. But I don't want to move into the death zone, so I see where the ball lands. And it ends up getting caught by a skink that was surrounded by players. But luckily, my zombie then had a go, a 2 die block, and I managed to get a pound. And this time the ball bounces free over here. So I use the werewolf to try and mark up the ball. I've already got a zombie on the ball, just in case this was to fail. And guess what happens? I managed to roll. What did I roll there? Was it a 1? Oh yeah, he hasn't got shorthand, so it's a 1 into a 1, which was great. Still, the catch would have been a 4+ anyway. So again, moving his players into position to help with assists and tag players. He then has the second, I think, both down or skull roll that he's had. Saurus comes in, manages to knock him on the ball, but it bounces into an even better spot for me, to be fair. My golem stands firm, so that player can't nip out. It was a blitz. So yeah, let's just pause it then. So what he was hoping for, I think, was to push this flesh golem out of the way, so he could then nip round into a more advantageous position. But because of stand firm, he would have to dodge, and there's no way he's dodging a Saurus out from there. My Wraith takes a hit. And with me being 1 Wraith down, I have to hold my breath, and especially when I see the armor break video come on. And then the skink tries to come round. I think that was a rush, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a rush. and he failed, and of course neither of us have rerolls now. So we're doing everything blind. I decided to use my blitz of my block ghoul because he's got block, so he's an effective blocker, and I wanted to take down that skink because of its speed. It allows me to pick up the ball and run myself down the line, and then use the werewolf and the ghoul who's already moved as a bit of a screen because the zombie's so slow. Now, still potential for the skink to get through, but it's going to be harder. I managed to get a double pow on a chameleon skink with a loner zombie, which was very pleasing and somewhat lucky. And then I didn't do anything else because everyone else is doing a job gluing a Saurus or a Croxagore in place. However, they're still going to be able to take out or take on the werewolf and potentially base the ghoul. So he nips him out the way, which means the skink can move into a place where I'm going to find it really hard to dodge through. Thought I'd caught that skink, but he moves in to mark up the ball. A lot of these players are now marked, which is going to make life difficult. I went to click stand firm then, I still think I'm played. Croxagore takes down the flesh column, which means now the Saurus can move in. And from a place that was looking quite good, all of a sudden, once again, we're looking very much under pressure. All of a sudden, my players are surrounded by strength 4 Saurus, and he's been quite good in the way that he's made sure that there's not many places for me to dodge out to. So I decided to bring the Wraith in to mark the chameleon skink. And then I was going for a blitz, dodging out and blitzing there. And unfortunately, I fail by dodge. So the ball goes out of play all the way down here and then gets thrown in back here. So that was a very short and upsetting turn. What did I roll for that? A 1 into a 2. So at this point, I'm pretty miffed. However, he's also out of rerolls, so I was hoping that maybe it's only turn 6, maybe there's an opportunity. And then he did the same, except he doesn't have sure hands, so he... Oh, do I actually? Oh, he's a dodge, that's why I had a reroll. So he's also failed a 3+ for the pickup. So, obviously, I'd have got a lot of players marked. I tried the ghoul dodge because 3+ dodge I thought gave me the best possible chance. And I didn't get the power, which was really annoying. But at least I was able to get a man on the ball. And the Wraith was able to block the other skink, create a bit of space. I went for a dodge with a werewolf. I thought I've got nothing to lose, and if I can at least mark up the... if I can... Oh, let's pause. The idea is if I can at least mark up both of these guys, they're not really likely to be hitting them. They're going to have to try and pick up in tackle zones and dodge away, and I'm hoping for more failures there. I took this 1-die block because I was already marking it with a zombie, so had it been a skull, that Croxagore would already be stuck, but now I can utilise this zombie. My issue is over here, because I've got 2 Saurus that are free, and obviously there's plenty of room for them to come in, mark up my players, or even blitz them. So I bring the zombie down, don't trust in a rush, so I move him down as close as I can that gets him in the way of potentially incoming Saurus. I tried a 1-die block with a loner zombie and managed to get it, which means I can now tag this Saurus. And then here I thought I've got nothing to lose by dodging out this zombie because he's already marked. It does leave that ghoul vulnerable. Again, skink needing its dodge there. But the Saurus, again, this is what I was saying earlier, bows both down to the skulls. Eventually it's going to cost them. And yeah, it's turn 7. What can I do? Well, I've moved round to blitz this skink in the hope that I can take these down one after the other. But unfortunately, I was only able to push him. But he was able to... Oh, let's pause. So my ghoul was able to block the chameleon skink onto the ball in the hope that it would bounce away from this player. And not only that, it bounced onto the werewolf and he managed to cause it. So it was a blinding bit of luck. And then the werewolf goes for a blitz. Oh, a block, sorry, because we've already used our blitz. And then on to turn 8. So going into the final turn, I've got the ball. I'm within scoring range. It's very difficult for them to get a profitable or even a 1 die on my werewolf without doing a crazy Saurus dodge. Even if they blitzed here to move the zombie away and moved him down, because this ghoul is here and they've got no other easy dodging skinks apart from the one that's all the way down the field, it means that they can't cover off this assist. So getting anything other than a 1 die, a 2 die up from this chameleon skink is looking almost impossible, unless you dodge out Sauruses or Sauri. I don't know what the plural for a Saurus is, but obviously it probably makes more sense that if you're going to risk a dodge, you may as well dodge out and blitz, giving yourself the 2 die. But first of all, the skink comes round, just to make sure that if something goes wrong with his Saurus blitz later, that he can, that he's got at least somebody on the ball. This was what worried me. I thought, oh no, I've offered up my ghoul there for a beating, but luckily it didn't do too much damage. And then the Saurus went for the dodge, and it was a 3, so he failed that. However, he did get somebody on the ball for me. So, I'm assuming I go and take out that guy first. I do. Bye-bye, Mr. Skink. And by going there, it means I get a 3 die on the chameleon skink. And I got the power there, which opens up for the werewolf touchdown. And there we go, Didier Dogborough carries on his scoring form. Oh, I say carries on, I can't remember if he scored in the first game. But yeah, he's the star of my show, isn't he? So good, got very lucky with the bounce there, but also we had a bit of bad luck in other areas, like that dodge out for the blitz. In the end, it all worked out. So obviously his skink can't come back because he was sent off. My zombie doesn't come back, but we're only going to be playing for 1 turn. So... Oh no, we're not. I forgot that because it was a defensive touchdown. We're straight into the second half. So yeah, annoyingly, I'd lost my zombie for the second half as well. But at least we're not a man down. So what I did is I tried to avoid the Saurus and the Croxigore as much as I could, because I haven't quite got the strength or the skills to really lay into them without taking some big risks. So the flesh golem on the corner was going to be able to have a go at 1. What I wanted to do is make sure I could get the ball somewhere safe, because skinks can be very annoying. And I had to be careful that when I sent my Wraith in to do some more damage to the skinks, that I didn't leave him vulnerable to a gang up and a foul. I think it was a high kick, so I was able to stand under the ball with my ghoul. I think anyway. I know it's brilliant coaching, that's just happened to be where it landed. So managed to get the ball on the sideline. And yeah, screened off for the time being. Saurus barrels in on his first turn and smashes the werewolf down, but decides not to base the ball carrier. The skinks move forward, which does leave them vulnerable, but it also means I can't break through here, because Reign probably knows at this point that I don't need to worry so much about not scoring fast. If anything, scoring fast will virtually kill off the game. So the worst thing that he could do is overcommit, I suppose, to the point where I can make use of a mistake and then nip round the back. So playing carefully. The rest of the blocks, there was a stun, but it wasn't anything too painful. He did manage to get the Croxigore onto my ghoul, which was not the best news, because prehensile tail means dodging away from that is going to be difficult, and I certainly won't be blocking it. So we managed to knock that skink around a little bit, and I blitzed in here with my flesh golem in an attempt to help the wraith out. I managed to get the 2 die. I had to re-roll it, knockdown and a stun. I then moved with a bit of an extra rush to try and close him off, and I thought, you know what, I want to get in somewhere close to scoring. So I've run in, rushed around to here. Oh, and then I've obviously blocked with an assist, which was a poke down, which is fine. Because a lot of players now are based still. Obviously the skinks can get round, but they need to get 3 skinks round to do a 2 die on a blodger. So I was fairly confident that we'd be okay. Something would either go wrong or the blodge would come in. Still a risk though, but I thought 1-0 up, if I can put a lot of pressure on early doors, I can almost tie off the game earlier than expected. So because that dodge failed, then he didn't get the blitz on me, which allows it allows me to try and take control. So I decide to blitz through, knowing that hopefully I can dodge afterwards. To which I did, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to score now. So I go 2 up, and even if he scores in return, I then get control of the ball again, much later on in the half. That was my thinking. And obviously, gives me a chance to go for a 3rd, potentially. Again, not much in the way of casualties, which for both me and Reign is good, because we were both missing players from our first game. So I just do my standard set. And he's gone for... he only needs those 3 players forwards because he's got the strength to crash through my zombies if he wishes. He's got his favoured one, the right wing over the left. And then I've gone and kicked it, not deliberately, I might add, over to here. To which point I think, oh, if I move a few plays here, if it bounces favourably, I might be able to really put on pressure. And of course, whenever you account for that, it bounced into my zone, so he was able to give the ball to this person. And now I'm out of position with a lot of my fastest players. So this was actually really good for him, wasn't it? Because it means that I've overcommitted this side, and if he's going to have any chance of winning this match, he's going to want to score quickly. And I gave him a really good opportunity to do that by throwing loads of my players over this side in an attempt to steal the ball. So yeah, I don't think that was good play from me. It was greedy. And that's probably a symptom of going 2-0 up, that you start to think you're not invulnerable, but you start to think, right, I can keep putting on the pressure, I can keep rolling well, and then you realise you've just taken it a bit too far. And yeah, that was silly, putting all these players in an attempt to try and make it difficult for him to pick up the ball. I basically opened the gate massively for him on this wing. Nothing too hideous happened to my players on this turn, and I've got movement 7 players, so I knew I could cause some issues for him, but unless he rolled very badly, he was potentially scoring even on the next turn. I then decide I've got to get somebody on the ball, but I rolled a 1 into a 1, and then 9 and 10 on the armour, and that ghoul was gone, and it ate my reroll as well. So as you can imagine, I was feeling a bit miffed about that. But never mind. Consecutive 1s is not something I'm new to. So my whole purpose of scoring early, to give myself a comfortable cushion where I've got the ball, and not too many turns to have to defend, backfired. So what turn am I on? I think I'm on turn 12. So I've got, well, he's got 4 turns to score an equaliser now, which with movement 6 and 8 players is definitely doable. So I had to be careful that I didn't do what I'd done before and overcommit. And the kick, once again, it was like a magnet wanting to go over this side. And luckily it fell about a few places, but eventually ended up on the opposition's half, so I was able to give it to the player furthest back. Really need tackle on some of these wraiths. My wraith in the FUMBBL League does have tackle, and then he got killed recently. Well, no, he got a strength bust, which is as good as dead. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit sad about my loss of my tackle wraith in FUMBBL, and so I'd really like one in the BB3 League as well, because we have got quite a few dodging players. Normally I'd go guard first on a wraith, but I think a tackle wraith, one of them being tackle wraith anyway, is going to be really useful. So again, given how the first few blocks went, felt I was fairly safe to move the ball forward. The last thing you want to do is hold it back in the defence and allow them. They want the ball over here with that many turns. They're not going to stand off if you come here. They're going to commit to trying to get the ball off you to get the equaliser. So I thought, no, I'm going to get into a position that's away from my back line and see what happens. Obviously, if he smashes through and gets players onto me, I might look to back off, but I thought we'd see how we go. His Saurus block plays off, and it allows him to reposition players here. But you notice he actually plays quite defensive here, so he's pulled a lot of players back. He hasn't used anyone to put pressure on the ball. And having spotted this, I realised, actually, I don't need to score again. If he's not going to come after me, I will actually then run it all the way back again, because I know that there's only 3 turns left now, and if I run all the way back to the back line, he's only got 2. It'll take him at least 2 turns to get to me, and that's if these skinks are absolutely sprinting for it. At least that's what I think I did. Hopefully I'm not getting that mixed up with another FUMBBL or BB3 game I played. Another stun. We just weren't getting the removals in this game. Yeah, no, it was this game. So I decided, let's run him all the way back. Give him some support with the werewolf. And it just means that the skinks are all the way back here. So it was almost tying off the win for me, even if it was a bit boring. Obviously I took them both downs. Well, I didn't have a choice. I know I did have a choice. I had a reroll, but both downs fine, actually. You'd definitely happily swap a zombie for a Saurus. Beautifully, the Flash Column ate up at least 1 activation, because we stand firm, meaning the Crop Skull would have to hit him as well. The Saurus does manage to whip around the wing to take out down my zombie, which opens up a channel for them to run through, of which they do. Obviously, they've still got 2 turns after this. So this skink is in range of hitting me next turn and potentially picking up the ball and then scoring the following turn. So I'm still not out the woods. So what do? I can't actually remember, so let's watch. What did I do in the end? I decided to go right into the corner. Use my werewolf to make it really hard, because no Saurus is catching me. So unless he tries to 2-die up, that I couldn't see away, unless he or rolled very, very well with dodges and rushes. I couldn't see a way of him getting even a 1-die. And yeah, I just left everyone else glued in place. So the Chameleon Skin comes down, is in scoring range should something happen. The skink marks the ball carrier. He decides to go for the werewolf because that's where he can get a 1-die block, but he rolls a skull. Very unlucky. So at this point, they can still score. If I do something daft or drop the ball or get hit or rush or something that causes me to drop the ball, he's got more than enough players here to score. So I decide to run round and blitz this Chameleon Skin, which is a bit risky, but he does have block, doesn't he? Oh no, he's not one who doesn't have block. But I do have a reroll, so I thought at least that way I'm potentially taking out a let's pause this again, I'm getting behind the action. I thought by doing that it's taken out a potential scoring threat, and I did manage to KO him. But even if he'd have just gone down, you know, he's only moving 5 squares instead of 8. and I knew my werewolf would get a couple of shots on him. It was a risk because he doesn't have block, but I was fairly confident that a 2-die into a 2-die should be enough. Look, we've seen him. In fact, no, we haven't seen him fail. I re-rolled one of those yet. It's the sort of thing I do fail from time to time. So, werewolf then goes to block the other one, pins him against the wall. I was being careful which zombies I chose to block with to make sure that the other zombies were marked. This one was going to get a 2-die, so I thought, well, may as well take that one. All the others are currently busy. Saurus smashes through and gets a casualty, so he does take something away from the game. And no regen as well, which was funny. I didn't see a single regen in this game. Was it in the first game as well? So he comes in, he decides he's not even going to go for the ball, but it's my flesh column, who still stands firm like an absolute unit. Saurus comes in on the zombie, and we are nearly there. And that's the match. So 2-1. And let's go and... Actually, I can't show you the team because I've played the third match now, and that will give away a few spoilers. But obviously that meant that I'd gone... played 2-1-2. I'd survived a match against a good coach in Reign, and I think I was fortunate to play when I did, so none of those swords had picked up block yet. I'd survived a match where I was down a flesh column and a wraith, whereas this time I was just down... Oh yes, so I was going to be down my blodging ghoul, which was a bit of a shame, but on the whole it was a good match for my guys. My werewolf obviously got a touchdown. I can't remember who got the MVP, but you'll see in the next video, in my third match, where I spent the star player points. But in terms of player purchases, I'm always loath to buy the second werewolf if my first werewolf hasn't got block. I love werewolves. They are one of the best players in the game. In my opinion, they are the best player in the game because I just am biased. But they are a bit of a liability, to be fair, when they haven't got block. They are only strength 3 and they do have frenzy, so they're inevitably going to get themselves into trouble. And you'll be tempted to use them because of claws. I have made that mistake countless times, and I know I've learned that lesson, and I still make it. So actually, to have 2 of them on the pitch, and they are expensive, so they do bump up your TV. I wouldn't buy my second werewolf until the first one's got block. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that match. Let me know in the comments if it went too fast. It's the first time I've tried to do it to a replay, and must admit, I think I probably should have paused it a few more times. But it should keep the video shorter and easier to watch. So yeah, let me know if you prefer it live. The reason I've stopped doing it live is because I was having connection issues, and doing it this way means that I can, if I need to, I can pause and reload the game, and this just gives me more flexibility. But if you much prefer the live matches, let me know. The third and possibly fourth match will be in this format, but if we think the live version's better, we'll go back to live for the 5th match. Anyway, please like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much. Bye for now.